Good morning, early game crew. Rise and shine. It's time to break down Alabama because we're getting a little bit closer to game day. It's been game week. Getting closer to game day.
Are we excited?
You know what? It's your last SEC game at home. You don't get many fall Saturdays in the Southeastern Conference at Williams-Brice Stadium on a calendar year. So
it's homecoming?
It's for some reason. But by virtue of it being homecoming, by virtue of it being the last SEC matchup we will see in that lovely stadium this year, I will enjoy just being in the atmosphere and being there.
That's a way to put it. Because today is our day where we go and we look at the squad and Lou hosts this thing up. Unfortunately, we don't have to do a lot of exaggeration about how good this squad is.
No, the hyperbole meter is going to be at like a firm 2 today.
Yeah, don't have to. Yeah, it's not going to be hyperbolic. There's not going to be a lot of exaggeration. We don't have to scare you into taking this team seriously. We may have to take a different tactic. We may have to show film from the first game over and over and say, like, they are capable of that. Even though they haven't done that in 5 weeks, they are still capable of that.
It's in them somewhere.
we just gotta figure it out and a way to find it, and it can happen. But that being said, yeah.
It's tough. Yeah. It's tough. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. We're taking that first look at Alabama today. And I took a really close look at Alabama yesterday, watching some of the Missouri game, the Tennessee game. And my ultimate conclusion, before I get into some of the fine details of what I noticed, this is the most hands up, nothing you can do on that play type team you'll face all year, which is scary. Because there are a couple times that Tennessee and Missouri games where I actually thought their defenses were in the right place at the right time, but Ty Simpson just put the ball where you couldn't get it, and Ryan Williams or Jeremy Bernard made plays. And that's terrifying. Even without like a really good running game. Like I didn't watch them and be like, oh man, they're going to gash you on the ground. And at 6:45, we're going to get into that a little further. But that's the best, most in-sync passing attack I have watched in college football this year, and we've seen a few.
The run game is an entree into the pass game. It's just it's a side dish to the passing game, right?
Yeah.
They just want to they do it, but it's not the main thing. It's not the main dish.
It's not even like a really good one. It's like green beans.
just something that's there. It's
like I don't think Bama fans are going to games being like, oh, I can't wait to watch Jam Miller run 3 yards up the middle. I can't wait. The same way no one's like, oh, I can't wait for these green beans. Oh, I know the chicken's really good, and I know the mac and cheese is delicious, but I'm dying for these green beans.
It's just a side to fill out the third little portion of the plate.
It's there because it has to be.
Yes, we have to have it. That being said, you're right. When I watched Alabama, I watched some of the Tennessee game, and to your point, I found myself saying, dude made a play.
Every other play, it's like, oh, I don't know if there's anything else Tennessee could do there.
Good D.
Yeah, could see better offense.
Yeah, and that is a tough spot to be in when you watch that and you know that they're going to be capable of that and that they have the abilities. The key to Alabama was the question mark for me all season, and obviously they had it answered, but for me all season the question mark was Ty Simpson. I was like, all right, man, he's been there for years. Okay, he gets a Medal of Honor for being a dude that's been around the program. Good for him. That's awesome.
Congrats on being America's favorite understudy.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you're a good quarterback. And I thought I was under the impression that they were going with this as a sentimental favorite. Maybe he just outlasted everybody, whatever the case was. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
I, along with a lot of folks, were wrong. And Ty has proven himself, has put himself in a lot of conversations that there's no way we thought he would have been in. Heisman, draft, first-round draft, top 10 draft. I'm hearing all types of stuff that he was not part of when the season started.
At all. And as somebody who covered him in high school.
Oh, okay.
Knew he was good. Like, he had a lot of natural talent. And, of course, his dad's the head coach at Tennessee Martin. So you knew that he knew the game. And he had a lot of the natural ability. But, buddy, two-way high school football in Tennessee isn't going to be confused with the AFC North or anything like that. You know, like it's not it's not going to be confused with some juggernaut of competition. He got to pick apart a lot of guys who are going pro in something other than sports, right? And went to college for something other than sports. So I was like, I got to see it. You know, like I can see why somebody would be interested, but I was like, I don't know why this kid's talked about as being a top 10 player in the country. Like I am very keenly aware of who it is he plays against on a Friday night to Friday night basis. I probably need to see a little more. So when it came to this year, I was like, well, you better have learned a lot as an understudy to Jalen Milroe and other quarterbacks in your career while you were there. You better learn something. Better have been a sponge being in the same room as Bryce Young and Jalen Milroe. And it turns out he did. It turns out he did. You see, like with him, you see the son of a football coach type things because he makes so many checks at the line of scrimmage. That's one thing I noticed. He's not afraid to, once that helmet communication thing clicks off at the 15-second mark on the play clock, to look over and make a kill call and change the play at the line of scrimmage. It almost looks like Peyton Manning would do. You know, he'd see something and he'd change it right before the snap. There's a couple times, one play in the Tennessee game where he sees something like he recognizes the blitzing linebacker, calls his tight end over into motion, and they run a play and that tight end gets right over to where he was blitzing and sticks him, right? That play he figured out and won before the snap. There are not many college quarterbacks in this sport that are doing that right now. You watch any college football game, there's free rushers on a lot of plays, not because the offensive line plays bad. It's because the quarterback or whoever's responsibility is to be able to identify that linebacker or identify that blitzer or try to figure that out just aren't as adept at doing that. In the college game, that's normal, right? Usually that type of stuff is the next level stuff for quarterbacks. And Ty Simpson's got that. And he did that a lot in these last 2 games for them. And that's what's so mildly impressive. His arm talent's good because the velocity he puts on the football, especially on throws across the middle, not a quarterback in America better at placing the ball across the middle and throwing a receiver open than he is.
Not a statue.
No, he can scramble.
He can kind of like move. He can scoot a little bit, right? And you wouldn't go as far as to say he's a dual threat guy or anything like that.
He's not Lamar Jackson.
But he's not a statue, and he's not just going to stand there in the pocket. He can move around. And also, by the way, from what I've seen, they're not afraid to move him around in the pocket or move him out of the pocket or roll him. Hint, 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 hint.
It can be done.
They do enough of that with that guy. So they utilize him. Obviously, Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubbs, we know them as offensive. I would come close to saying masterminds.
Yeah.
They're very, very solid offensively. So it is going to be a task regardless of how you slice it.
And that offense does the one thing where what I'm about to say is the reason why they're the most hands up, nothing you could do on that play type team in college football, is because they have a quarterback that can throw guys open and they have a scheme that gets guys open. So either way you slice it, somebody is going to be available to catch a pass on any given play. And that's how this kid's thrown for almost 2,000 yards already, is because they're able to do that on any given play. Very rarely have I seen a play in these 2 games where I'm like, oh, Simpson missed that throw. That's very rare. And on the occasion where I'm like, that guy wasn't open, but you threw him open, is still relatively high. But even higher is he's throwing the ball to Jeremy Bernard streaking in the middle of the field. You watch the Georgia game. That was an absolute coaching masterclass and play calling masterclass on a Kirby Smart defense, because Ty Simpson could have been blindfolded and made a lot of the throws he did in the first half of that game when Alabama built their lead. He just stood back there and he picked him apart all game. You might get him for a couple of stops like Georgia did, but can you do it through 4 quarters? Georgia found out the hard way they couldn't. Missouri found out the hard way they couldn't. Tennessee found out the hard way they could not. And that is what makes this team so dangerous.
And I have a proclamation to make.
Ooh.
This is an uphill battle. There is a path. We'll provide a path tomorrow. There is a path. There's always a path. You have to remember that. There's always a path. But one thing we cannot do is be the ones who give up a touchdown to number 74. We cannot be the ones. They've been trying all year to get this man a touchdown. They've tried it in the Wildcat. If you know who number 74 is, that's Caden Proctor, 6'4", 360-ish.
Like 6'7". I'm starting to get it now. I will not get it, but I can recognize it. I recognize the hand thing. I still don't know what it means.
I don't either. Ask your kids. That being said, they're going to try and get this man a touchdown. We cannot be the ones who let it happen. We cannot let it happen.
My brother in Christ, they might let him throw a pass.
Oh, boy. They put him in the slot, wildcat, motion.
He caught a screen pass against Georgia and almost housed it.
That was against Georgia. It's like, hey, Kalen, this game is serious, man. What you doing? We cannot be the ones. I'm just letting you know, because when you see that big man trot out there, they're going to try and get it done at some point, and I don't want that to happen. So that's my proclamation. I don't know how the victories may be few and far between, but we cannot let that happen.
Because it's going to happen this year. The way they're trying, it's going to happen, right? It's almost like when the kid comes off the bench. That's like the loved walk-on. Like at Middle Tennessee State, there's a kid named Chase Miller. He was in a fraternity, but he was a walk-on. And that year, MTSU was beating the hell out of everybody at home, right? And anytime he came in the game, place goes nuts. And they would start pushing the envelope as to when they put him in the game. Sometimes it'd be like, oh, you're up 25 on UTEP. Well, let's do it with 4 minutes left in the game, right? It's not like the 90 seconds at the end of it. They'd be like, all right, let's put him in for 4 minutes and let's see if he can hit a shot. And, buddy, the loudest I heard that arena that year was when he came in against Rice in a 30-point game with 3.5 minutes left and hit a three. That's what Alabama wants to do with Caden Proctor.
They want to do that.
They're going to push the envelope.
Okay, so that's my only proclamation. I don't know what's going to happen, but we cannot let that happen.
And defensively, you know what I noticed too, just from a schematic standpoint, and I don't know if you noticed this as well, they stem more than any team I've seen in college football. The defensive line does. It is almost every other play that defensive line is completely shifting. They'll go three-man front, and they'll just move it at the last second. So if you thought there were a lot of move calls against Oklahoma, Alabama equally will do that. They do so much movement at the line of scrimmage on defense before the beginning of a play. So good on you for not falling forward against Oklahoma, but you got to keep that up to at least keep yourself from going backwards against Alabama.
Defensive coordinator Kane Womack, what a name.
That's a defensive coordinator name.
That's a great name.
That's a DC name if I've ever heard one.
Kane Womack. That guy could dial him up. I don't know who he is. I've never watched his tape. But if you tell me the DC is Kane Womack, he can dial him up.
I'm telling you right now, he was blitz happy. Oh, you tell me the guy is the defensive coordinator is Kane Womack? Oh, well, he's probably blitzing 9 on this play right now. Have 2 guys cover the field, send 9. Wouldn't surprise me. But they're aggressive on defense.
Absolutely.
They're incredibly aggressive. This is definitely a team that it's scary.
Which to kind of do a juxtaposition, almost polar opposites on both sides of the ball from the previous Saban era. Saban era did not blitz a lot on defense. They relied on coverage and, basing you up. Offense was kind of a ground and pound thing for a majority of his tenure there. So I'm sure the Alabama fans are getting used to a different style, and that's probably what caused some of the ruckus. Of course, the losing also. But now they're winning, and now they're probably like, okay, I can dig this. I can dig this style of football. This is cool. So needless to say, after watching the tape, yes, we have a tall task in front of us.
Yeah, and the one last thing about Ty Simpson before we get into some of the Mike Shula sound is that last year with Jalen Milroe, there was a lot more YOLO ball. Ty Simpson does not play YOLO ball at all. He goes into the settings on the video game and he turns that mode off and plays the entire game. There's a reason he's only thrown 1 pick this year. It's because he does not put that thing in harm's way. And if that pass isn't there, he's not making it. And if that pass isn't there, that also tells you something because of what his arm talent is and his ability to throw people open. Won't be able to live and die off trying to get turnovers on him like you were aiming to against Mateer and like you did against Garrett Nussmeier. Ty Simpson is definitely everything Garrett Nussmeier was supposed to be, if that paints a picture for you. But coming up next, Mike Shula spoke yesterday. All 3 coordinators spoke yesterday, but Mike Shula talked, and I asked him a question about the offensive line, how that's going to affect the play calling on Saturday. You'll hear his response next.
Presley here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. If your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll give you a free quote for any job, and they will come out to you. Now, if you're at home, they can come to you there, too. If you're looking for new windows and mirrors, Absolute Glass will take care of that also. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
In Lexington, Cedar Grove Road near Devil's Backbone Road, so kind of getting out towards Leesville, there is a report of an accident there, kind of right near Highway 1. And the forecast that you're going to see, still great this week. 76 today, 73 tomorrow. Game day looks like sunny and 71. We're going to go into a trend where we're going to dip out of the 70s starting on Sunday, and we will be in the 60s pretty much all next week, and increased chances of showers. So enjoy these kind of 70s temperatures currently. And right now it's 45 on the early game.
The coordinator spoke yesterday, and if we can watch the tape on Alabama and realize it's a tall task ahead of you, then they definitely do, because they get the good film. They get the all 22, and they break it down. So if folks like us can see that this is going to be really tough, they know exactly the work they have cut out for them. We talked a lot about that Alabama offense in that first segment, but Alabama's defense is nasty too at being able to get to the quarterback. They got a pair of edge rushers that we'll get into the specifics of how good they are in old man versus analytics, because the numbers are eye-popping. And in the Tennessee game, one of them completely game wrecked anything Tennessee wanted to do on offense. So Mike Shula's, I mean, it's been a tough year. It's been a tough year already, obviously, right? We have eyes. We watch the games. We see what's going on. It's not good. Well, Alabama is going to make it a lot harder on you on Saturday. If you struggle against the line, opposing defensive lines, well, you're going to struggle against Alabama's. So one thing I wanted to know, given the opportunity to ask Coach Shula a question, I wanted to know, how is the play calling truly affected by a lack of protection, right? Because there have been teams that Alabama have played this year where the protection was good enough for their quarterback to be able to cook a little bit, right? Like Missouri, Bo Perbula. They were able to move the ball, and they were able to score 24 points and maybe be one of the more successful teams outside of Florida State who have been able to score against Alabama's defense this year. But again, one of the things was their line protected really well. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're not going to have that luxury on Saturday. So how is this going to affect the play calling? This is Mike's response to my question.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, protection involves everybody. It's not just the offensive line. It's not just the running backs. It's, you know, the quarterback getting the ball out on time. It's the receivers getting open on time. It's all of us as coaches and players, and making sure that we, you know, the protection is probably going to be a lot better on 1st and 10 than it is on 2nd and long or 3rd and long. So staying out of those situations. You try to get a balance each and every week in that regard, and try to stay ahead of the chains. I think on our drives and throughout the year, you would say when we're staying ahead of the chains and not getting behind them, you have, you know, all those things are, you know, you're protecting better. The ball's coming out. So, and there's different kinds of protections too. So you look into different protections. You look into making sure that you try your best not to put your guys in a bad matchup situation, protection-wise. So different ways you can do that, and you know, it's all hands on deck in regards to, you know, having the different protections.
I figured out what my issue is with Mike when he goes to the press conferences. He speaks in very broad, sweeping generalizations. Mm-hmm. He doesn't use the royal we, but he uses the royal you as like, you try to do this, you try, and he's talking like that's what offenses in general trying to do. But we don't care what offenses in general are trying to do. We don't want to know what you,
yes,
Mike Shula, this offense, not
the royal you,
not the royal you, and that's what I think that was just when he. Yes, we understand what people tried to do, but I need to know about you specifically. And he never quite gets to that answer. So I think I just pinpointed something in my mind. That was just me figuring something out in my mind. But continue.
Well, because what you just said is exactly reflected in his answer there, too, because you want to stay out in front of the stakes. Yeah, of course you do, right? I'm curious as to how you do that, or how much changing to the play calling actually happens. And if I'm trying to get anything from that answer here, maybe it's not play calling that's changing, but personnel and protection and adding more protection, right? Having running backs and pass protection more, which they also have to be better. But the thing you mentioned at the end is I don't want to have guys in disadvantage or disadvantageous situations. My brother in Christ, I don't think you're going to have an option. I think you're going to be in some situations that you will not deem to be advantageous in terms of personnel in the line of scrimmage, because that's just what Alabama is, and that's what you are, right? Like that's what we have seen through 7 games of sample size for both teams here. When it comes down to it, if I learned anything from what Missouri and Tennessee did, it's a lot of their success came on the short passing game. A lot of the success came on outside zone plays, which outside zone and stretch plays is exactly what Florida State did to gash them up and down the field. They misdirectioned and motioned and ran the ball outside to death. They ran east to west all gosh darn game, right? Like, that's exactly what they do. But that's Florida State's MO.
Yeah, that's Gus.
That's Gus Malzahn.
He's a master at that.
You've got to be able to figure out a way to get the ball to the perimeter and make some of the guys that are the defensive backs make plays, because they're linebackers, they're defensive linemen, capital D dudes. Deontay Lawson at middle linebackers, like one of the better middle linebackers in the country, and he's going to be playing on Sundays, right? The two edge rushers are going to be playing on Sundays. So that didn't give me a good peek into what might have to be done, but I think the play calling itself in terms of how many more screens you run, how many more outside runs that you call, even if it involves Lenora Sellers, that's going to be something that has to change in terms of just you doing that more to be able to get success against a defensive line and a linebacking unit that is as athletic and as good as what Alabama's is.
That all makes sense. All right, so I want to hear some more from. I want to see if Mike goes into specifics about what he wants to do. Now, what offensive coordinators want to do. I want to know what he wants to do.
Here's our next chance, because Jordan Kay asked a really good question about going deep, throwing deep balls, right? Even when the protection's not really good, sometimes you still need to take a shot in the game. This was his response to Jordan's question.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Again, you want to stretch the field. You want to have the defense have to cover the whole field in regard to, down the field, intermediate, short, sidelines, all that kind of stuff. You want to help your linemen where you're not just saying, hey, we want to throw the ball down the field and you got to protect, because that's not advantageous either. So you got to have a good mix in that, and running game helps in that too. So, yeah, you need to. There is a balance, a delicate balance, and the other thing that's you have to make sure as a play caller is you don't quite leave things too early in the game and just kind of like, hey, we got to just throw it on every down, which is hard if you're not, if you don't have the lead and things like that. So, those are things we continue to look at, and we do it based on, hey, what's the best thing for our players? What gives them the best chance to operate? And is it throwing it every down, or is it, hey, mixing in runs, mixing in inside runs, outside runs, draws, screens, things like that?
I mean, yes, it is going to be hard to ask your offensive lineman to block a little longer if they've struggled to do that, to be able to develop a downfield passing game. But at some point, maybe that's where rolling the pocket's going to help out. Because I think one thing we've learned, especially from that Missouri game, when Lenoris rolls out, he can still zip it. At some point, I think it might be worth a couple times in this game taking that shot, because you didn't take a ton of shots against Oklahoma. And the one time you did draw a defensive pass interference. But I do, at some point in this game, your risk aversion might have to kind of change to the more riskier side of things if you want to have a chance of winning this game, not just staying in it.
Yeah, so if you want to take that deep throw opportunities, maybe you max protect, which the running backs have to do a way better job of doing of pass blocking. You max protect, you send them maybe a two-man route, Vandrias, Nick, tell them to run as fast as they can, as far as they can. You take a three-step drop and you say, hey, throw it as far as you can. That really doesn't take as much time protection-wise, because you're not sitting there making reads, waiting for routes to develop. So there are ways to stretch the field vertically without having to put that much stress on your defense, on your offensive line.
And the fewer receivers running routes, the less decision-making you have to do. Yeah, the more you're just kind of going out there
that way
and playing. But what does this Alabama team look like when it comes to some of the advanced numbers? We'll take a look at those, because Old Man versus Analytics next.
Cedar Grove Road near Devil's Backbone Road. There's an accident there. And weather-wise, it's going to be good throughout the weekend. 76 today, overnight low 47. Tomorrow 73. Saturday game day sunny and 71. By Sunday, we start getting back into the 60s. We'll be in about 67 on Sunday. And then low to mid 60s for next week with some showers on the way. But it's a nice morning currently, a little bit breezy, 45.
Yeah, our eyeballs tell us Alabama's really good. Even if you are very just a casual football enjoyer, you could watch this team play and say, you know what? Yeah, they're pretty good. But what do the numbers say in terms of how good this Alabama team is? Or maybe reveal what it is they want to do. Well, let's start off with Ty Simpson, the quarterback who has made the difference for Alabama this year. Going into the season, we're like, you know what? If he's just good, there's enough talent around him to where they can be successful. College football playoff, we'll see. But there's enough talent on that roster, line of scrimmage, both lines of scrimmage, and skill positions, where they'll be fine. Well, it turns out he was more than just adequate. He's been a Heisman contender, and rightfully so. Because this year, Ty Simpson has 14 big-time throws per PFF. On passes over 20 yards down the field, he has 10 big-time throws. 64% adjusted completion percentage on those passes, 20-plus yards down the field, with 5 touchdowns. It is the most explosive passing game this Gamecock defense has had to face this year by far.
Okay. That being said, do we still believe that the strength of our defense is the secondary? That was our belief coming into the season. Do we still hold that belief? Even though I don't think they performed up to their expectations, but for this defense, do we still believe that?
I do not.
Okay.
I think it's probably the athleticism of your linebackers.
All right.
And Stewart and Thomas as your pass rushers. Which, if we want to do what strength on strength is, can your strength, which are, those 2 pass rushers, get to Ty Simpson? That's going to be a big question mark on Saturday, because if you're able to do that and disrupt them, then maybe you force Ty Simpson into a rare turnover. Again, he's only coughed the ball up once this season.
I mean, there'll be NFL dudes in the building because Caden Proctor versus Dylan Stewart is an NFL matchup.
It's box office.
For sure.
It is a box office matchup. But for Simpson, he's been blitzed on 39% of his dropbacks. He's only been pressured on 28% of his dropbacks. He's not facing a ton of pressure. So along with what Ty Simpson can do down the field, this is an elite Joe Moore Award contending offensive line.
They're not blitzing because you don't want to be one-on-one with Ryan Williams.
No, you don't.
Right? So the defenses
or Jeremy Bernard.
Yes.
Or Isaiah Horton.
Yes. Defenses are hesitant to put that pressure on them because, again, going back to the numbers game, if we don't get there, which there's a chance we may not because of that offensive line, now we put our defensive backs in very difficult situations. Mike Schuler just talked about advantageous situation. That is not an advantageous situation for your DBs. So that's probably why they're not seeing as many blitzes, but you see how it all works together.
Mm-hmm. And that's obviously explains the 39% number and the 28% number. Look, Alabama's offensive line, I would say, a little disappointing only because the run game isn't very strong. And now they don't have running backs that break tackles. I mean, they're one of the worst in the SEC when it comes to having a group of running backs who get yards after contact. And so all the rushing yards Alabama will get in a game is solely dependent on how much push that offensive line gets. And it gets some, but not as much as it probably should. But when it comes to pass protection, it's the best pass protecting unit I've seen this year.
Because that's what they do.
That's their identity.
That's their identity.
They are pass blockers.
They don't line up every day and say, we're road graders. We're going to 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's not what they do. Running game is serviceable. It's adequate. It gets the job done. But what they do is they protect Ty Simpson. And they know that. And they practice like that.
And Caden Proctor gets the love because he's the guy that's looked at as the first-round NFL draft pick. Center Parker Brailsford, one of the best centers in college football. He was the center, as a true freshman, was the center on a Washington team that went to the national championship with Kalen DeBoer as the head coach, and a Washington offensive line that won the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line in college football. So when you talk about having an identity as an offensive line, Parker Brailsford took the identity they had at Washington, because it wasn't like they were just running the ball and gashing people. It was Michael Penix hanging out in the pocket and picking you apart because he had pro receivers to throw to, and you didn't want to leave those guys one-on-one. So now it's up to the offensive line to keep the pocket clean. He kept the pocket clean there well enough for them to be able to win that prestigious award. He comes to Alabama with Kalen DeBoer, and he's brought that with him.
And to start as a freshman, as the center, buddy.
Yeah.
You are a baller. Because the center's the quarterback of the offensive line.
Yes.
You are the one that controls all the protections. You control the snap count. Hello?
No. Knowing it, controlling it.
Yes. Yeah. You're the person who does all that thing. So if he did that those years ago, imagine obviously he's improved and he's been within continuity within the same system. And so, yeah, that's going to be a difficult challenge for the defensive line.
And in terms of marrying what we see with our eyes, what the numbers tell us, I remember sending you a clip when I was watching the Alabama-Georgia game of Alabama's offensive line. They go into pass protection, and Georgia's running this twist, right? And it looks very well executed. But if you watch, you see Caden Proctor tapping the shoulder of the left guard, and immediately they pick it up, and they picked it up perfectly. And I was like, look at that. That's what communication at the offensive line is supposed to be. Because I watched that the same day we played the clips of Case and Henry talking about we don't communicate well enough. And I'm like, well, that's how you're supposed to do it. Like, that was offensive line teach tape on how to be able to protect it.
And that protection wasn't about talent. It wasn't about being tough. It was about communicating. Hey, you, me, over, under, whatever the communication style is. Again, I talked to you about it's the same, very similar to basketball and playing a pick and roll. Like,
same thing.
We got to know exactly what's going on so that both of us don't get on the same guy and leave somebody open. Similar communications, or even in baseball, somebody has to say, I got it.
Yeah.
Or else the ball just drops in the middle of,
or you're running into each other.
Or you run into each other, something like that. So it's all, sports a lot of times comes to communication, and that is not a talent thing.
Now, the two leading receivers for this Alabama team, Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard. Bernard also came from Washington. Bernard is out wide 61% of the time. He is in the slot 36% of the time. Ryan Williams is out wide 37% of the time, is in the slot 61% of the time. Isaiah Horton, the transfer from Miami, who's been a big-time player for them, also has 20-plus catches. Those are the three guys that have at least 20 catches. But he's out wide 88% of the time. How do you game plan with that much variety and that much talent?
I don't know.
Again, this is the most don't know what else you can do team that I've seen on Carolina's schedule.
Okay, who's our best cover guy in your opinion?
The best cover guy, probably Brandon Cisse.
Brandon Cisse is a great candidate. Maybe you're gonna say like Brandon Cisse, this is your game to go make some money.
Yeah.
Line up on Ryan Williams, whether he's in the slot, whether he's in the out wide. This is your game to show the world who you really are. Because Brandon Cisse is multiple. He can play both sides and he can support the run. That might be your best option for what is a very difficult task.
So you're saying this might be a cat coverage game, as they would call it?
There might be something along those lines, yep.
Where it's just you follow that guy around. We identify early where that guy is, and we're going to follow him around.
Cam Smith made himself enough money doing that to Jalen Hyatt.
Yep.
2 years ago, whatever that was, right?
That was a cat coverage game.
So there might be something to that.
There's one more I want to get to on defense, and we'll get to that on the other side, as well as talk about Alabama's run game, because we will channel our inner Brent Key and run the ball. That's next. Last number here for Alabama, because I wanted to get this one out, because I teased it earlier too. The pass rush is really good. And we've talked so much about the South Carolina offensive line and what it's going to take to have to turn it around. Even if it's slowly and incrementally, you don't have a lot of luxury to do that, because last week, after firing Lonnie Teasley, you had to play Oklahoma, which I still believe is the best overall defensive front that you've seen this year. But this week, you're playing two really good pass rushers. In true pass rush sets, Alabama edge rushers Yanze Pierre and LT Overton have pass rush win rates over the elite 20% mark. So when you look at the stat of pass rush win rate, what is considered elite is anything over 20%. Pierre's at 21%, LT Overton's at 24%. This spells a lot more trouble for the offensive line. And whatever it is that you've been doing to try to shore up the protection, you're going to have to use a lot more. A lot more, I would say, max protect. A lot more just trying to keep those two dudes out of the backfield, because Yanze Pierre, specifically against Tennessee, single-handedly wrecked Tennessee's offense. He forced the safety. He had multiple sacks, and that was a Tennessee team that only gave up, I believe 4 sacks going into that game. Pierre had 2. And if you want to count the safety as essentially a sack because it cost the other team 2 points, I'll let you count that one. So it's about 3 times. But he completely wrecked the game at different parts of the defensive line, because it wasn't just that he was at the edge. They played him on the interior. They played him on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Sometimes you see an edge rusher only play on one side of the line of scrimmage. They moved him around to both. They're not afraid to do that. They're versatile, and they will get to your quarterback.
Yeah, so the tackles are going to have a tall task in front of them. I keep repeating that phrase, but that's the thing that just keeps coming to my mind. That being said, figure out ways to help them. Keep your tight ends in. Maybe you give a little bit of a chip block. Your running backs are not playing well at picking up the blitz, so the way you can maybe neutralize that is to put them in the routes. That way somebody has to cover them. And so you block them by not being there. Because if I'm not here, you can't blitz. And if you blitz, then I'll throw the ball to you. So there's a way that you can maybe work around that, because right now they're not blocking and they're not helping out in pass rushing at all. They're basically a wasted dude there. But that being said, Josiah Thompson, your time's up, brother.
This is it. This is the Josiah Thompson big boy game. We need you to play like a big boy.
Listen, you've regressed to this point, and that's fine. It happens. Sophomore slump, whatever you want to call it. This is your time to step up, because you're going to have, again, NFL eyes are here. People will be watching. You will be on the Madden cam watching these two rushers, watching everybody, especially in comparison to the guy that's playing on the other 74, right? People will be paying attention. This is a time for you to step up.
This is an opportunity, because Yanze Pierre and LT Overton will be playing on Sundays. You need to show what you got against those guys. And we haven't seen it this year. If you want to have a chance, not just to be in the game, but to not be embarrassed, you're going to have to play better than you have all year against some really elite pass rushing talent. But now it's time for us to channel our inner Brent Key and do exactly what, Jen Jensen?
Run the ball.
We're going to run the ball.
Makes me so happy.
And if you're South Carolina, try to stop the run. Now, Alabama's offense, in terms of how they run the ball, they don't do it the way they have historically done it. They don't have really a running back in the rotation that has gotten more than 40 carries this season, that has over 4 yards a carry. Jam Miller has only forced 7 missed tackles this year. That is good to be outside the top 25 in the SEC. Same thing with Kevin Riley, who has 181 yards on the year and has played in all 7 games. They also don't have a running back on the roster that gets more than 2.5 yards after contact. They're not Derrick Henry. They're not Mark Ingram. This is a completely different group. They don't rely on them to do it. They will do it, especially in short yardage situations. But this is not the identity of this Alabama team.
That's not what they would choose not to be balanced. They are serviceable in the run game. Adequate is a side dish. It's not the main entree of what they want to do, because they want to throw the ball. They want to throw the ball. That's what they want to do. But they can run the ball. And so your best opportunity is to at least take away this thing that is serviceable, so that you could focus on them being able to run. But you're going to have to be able to do it with a light box because you're not going to be able to walk 8 men into the box against them because you will get torched on any one of those one-on-one situations.
No. And when you look at the success other teams have had running the ball against Alabama, it can be done. That's how they got beat, is because Florida State ran the ball. They only completed 9 passes in that game and beat them. I repeat, you only completed 9 passes in that game to beat them. I don't think you can just completely copy and paste that into this game document and have it succeed. But they can be run on a little bit, right? Especially on the outside. Their interior defensive linemen are too good. I have not seen a team this year successfully just run the ball up the middle. Tennessee did it because they had a lot of light boxes because that's just what their offense does, right? So you can't really take that and use that as a blueprint because Tennessee wants to have 4 receivers out that are hugging the boundary and creating that light box. And Tennessee ran the ball really well. Missouri outside zoned them. Ahmad Hardy only had 12 carries. He should have had 22 because he was picking up almost 5 yards a carry. And Bo Prabula ran for 61 yards on a lot of outside quarterback runs.
Okay.
So when it comes to running the ball,
Okay.
I would highly advise against trying to run in between the tackles on this Alabama team, and you try to dupe them and get them out on the perimeter. That is what I have been able to see so far. Hour number 2 coming up. More coordinator sound.
Preston here for our folks at Integrated Media. Listen, man, the sports equinox is almost here. That means you can watch all the sports all the time. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, all the major American sports will be on at the same time. Why wouldn't you want to watch that in an outdoor setup provided by the folks at Integrated Media? You can have a Samsung Terrace TV. You can have Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music. You can have Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors, so you can have all your devices playing all the sports all the time without having to suffer any lag time. So from home theater setup to adjusting your thermostat, or maybe it's monitoring your security system from your cell phone, Integrated Media is the company that you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can reach them online at integratedmediainc.com. That's online at integratedmediainc.com.
For traffic flow this morning, yep, we are seeing that there's an accident in downtown Columbia, Sumter Street at Senate. Also, Clemson Road at Hardscrabble, and working to get things cleared up. Cedar Grove near Devil's Backbone, fairly close to Highway 1. And 70s we will be in through Saturday. Then we go through a stretch of 60s starting on Sunday and into next week. Could see some rain next week as well. But as far as the rest of this week, sunny today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Game day looking for a high of 71. But our mornings are going to be a little cooler like today, where it currently is 45.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. We have been taking our first look today at the Alabama Crimson Tide. The red-hot Alabama Crimson Tide coming into Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday at 3:30 on ABC. A team that, Ohio State you could still consider the hottest team in college football because they haven't lost and they're just beating the brakes off of everybody they play. And they haven't necessarily played the most challenging part of their Big Ten schedule. But Alabama, after seeing what they looked like in week 1 and what they look like now, definitely the most improved. And by virtue of that improvement of going from, I don't know what they're going to do when they have to play in the SEC to, this team could win a national championship, you could say is one of the best turnarounds we've seen in college football this season.
Yeah, absolutely. After that, do we not be reminded? I'm old enough to remember.
Hold on. I was alive when a Gus Malzahn offense completely gashed Alabama on the ground.
That happened. You know what I'm saying? And we were talking about their effort, and we were talking about all types of stuff. We threw them on the grill. Maybe one of the first folks to, like a wrestler, or start shaking like, I'm not done yet. And Kellen DeBoer's
I don't
back.
hear no bell.
Exactly. That being said, when you said Ohio State, very similar to my eyes when I watch Ohio State and Alabama, as far as the ball just looks like it's whizzing through the air. The dudes catch it, and something could happen magically when they catch the ball, right? It just, I always like to call it like the hold your breath type of test.
Oh, yes.
And I feel like every time the ball goes through the air when I watch Ohio State and when I'm watching Alabama, it feels like, okay, we got him. Okay.
Oh, whenever you see that ball hit the ground, it's relief.
Yes.
Right? Now, when some quarterbacks, that ball's in the air, it's like that hold your breath. It's like this is either going to be caught or it's going to be picked off. That's the Garrett Nussmeier effect, right?
Correct.
Somebody's catching it downfield or you're catching it downfield and you are possibly anticipating making a really big play and changing the momentum of a game. Same thing with John Mateer, right? The last 2 quarterbacks you've played have been thrilled to throw the ball to the other team. There's a lot more YOLO balling with those guys. Yippee! And he did it once in the game. I look at Jen, and I was like, watch. I look at the TV. Watch how he leaves both feet when he throws this ball in the air. Yippee! Super
I feel
Mario.
like a Brady Bunch cheering maneuver,
It's the goofiest thing on the planet. It's so goofy. But sometimes he completes them. And there was a lot less YOLO balling from Mateer on Saturday.
Ty is not that.
No.
Ty is very much calculated. He does not make that. That sound is not in his vocabulary.
No, there is not. Yippee! It's zip.
Yeah.
Pillsbury Doughboy, that's the sound I'm thinking of.
Oh, yes. Woohoo!
Sorry, that just hit me. Like I've known that for a week and a half.
It's been rolling around your brain for 2 weeks now.
Truly has. So thank you for letting me get that out.
Yeah, Ty does not do that.
No.
He's a very serious contender. He does not play YOLO ball at all. As you said, he had 1 interception this year?
Singular pick. I don't even remember which game that came from. I'm having to go back and look at some of the summaries here because he did throw. I don't recall him throwing one against Tennessee, which that definitely wasn't. His interception came against Vanderbilt. That's right, against Vandy. Ironically enough, the only team to pick him off was Vanderbilt. But he does not put the ball in harm's way. Very calculated. So the challenge with your quarterback you're facing this weekend is greater by virtue of his ability to throw receivers open, by the coaches to be able to scheme the receivers open, and Ty Simpson not putting the ball in harm's way. And again, the last 2 weeks, it has not been that case. So how do you defend against a quarterback who does play things really safe while also having the ability to take the top off of your defense? Jen, this will be cut 14. Clayton White, defensive coordinator for the Gamecocks, spoke yesterday and was asked that very question, and here was his response.
Yes, I will say that it comes back to them just spreading the ball around, understanding he understands the first read, the second read, the third read, or if it's a left or right read, he does a really good job of just taking check downs. Like his running backs has, I think they both have over 10 receptions. But I know for sure that us just doing our job and making sure we executing our calls.
Execute your calls, and also, he won't say this, but this is the truth. Hope that ball hits the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, hope is not a game plan.
Yeah, hope's not a strategy. You have to must reiterate that.
Hope is not a strategy. But sometimes, again.
Sometimes it's all you got.
I want to pull this up on my notepad because I will take just running notes while watching these games. This is the most quote, nothing you can do blank team that you've got on the schedule.
Well, I guess if we're talking about a way to mitigate that, maybe you can force him to get to his second read, force him to get to his third read, and then by then Brian Thomas Jr., who I've said is an extra effort, second effort type of guy, maybe he can get to the passer because you forced him to get to those second and third reads. For lack of a better term, coverage sacks might be a thing, especially if you're thinking that, Caden Proctor, maybe he neutralizes Dylan Stewart. Maybe they go back and forth, but that's fine. That could be a fun battle to watch. But maybe now Brian Thomas Jr. gets some of those extra effort sacks by you making Ty Simpson get to his second and third reads.
And if there's anything we learned, that's what gave Jalen Milroe problems from last year. Now, of course, Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson, two completely different quarterbacks. But secondary was really good in that Alabama game last year. And Dylan Stewart was such a game wrecker early in the season that Kalen DeBoer and that staff were scared to death of him getting to Milroe. So they were chip blocking him with tight ends. Running back, Jam Miller was in a lot of pass blocking reps in that game. And it was mostly Kyle Kennard one-on-one with Caden Proctor. But Kyle Kennard won.
He won.
He won a lot in that game. And that forced a lot of the issues you saw from Alabama, including forcing a safety early in that game. 803-404-6100, that's the Firehouse Subs text line, yes, but it is also the AAA Heating and Air phone line, so that's where we're going to go. Our boy Barron is on the line right now. Barron, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Hey, I just want to say, Alabama's beatable. Georgia had a 10-yard field goal. It was behind 3 points, and they decided to run in, and the guy just tripped and fell down. No one touched him. Alabama had their hands on the hips. They were tired. There's 13 minutes to go. Georgia could just kick the field goal, tie it up, and wore them out. It shut them down. They did shut them down. The score was last. Okay, but everything went wrong offensively for Georgia. I guess I blame Bobo. He could call some stupid stuff, but no, they should have beat Alabama. They had them worn down. But that's the way it goes. When you goof up and make bad mistakes, even the coach would be. That was a stupid thing, and everything. Then everything the tide turns, but South Carolina can surprise Alabama. They play hard and hit hard, and they can do that. They haven't been doing it, but they can. They got the players to do it. But Alabama was tired. Now, they have their hands on their hips. They were breathing. You could see it. I said, well, Georgia's taking his field goal. They're going to wear them out the rest of the game. They'll beat them 2 touchdowns. While I'm sitting there home watching them, and just, one of those things. But Alabama is beatable.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I'd say, Barron. Yeah, anybody's beatable, and finding that blueprint to beat them is the big thing. And your point with Georgia, the reason they made Alabama tired is because they ran for 227 yards in that game. Alabama's defense can be run on, and a lot of it is stretch outside zone plays. Georgia ran a lot of stretch and a lot of outside zone. That's one thing South Carolina's going to have to do a whole lot more of in this game to be able to get that result. You're going to have to run the ball like you did against LSU. That's the thing. And you ran the ball pretty well against LSU. You're going to have to do something like that, right? And you're not going to be able to just run in between the tackles on these guys because that's not really the key to success. Georgia stretched the field with the run game, and they were able to get success. In the second half, they got them tired. But at the same time, too, Alabama, even if they didn't play their best game, went to Georgia and still won. And Georgia has not lost since, right? So say it's a really high-quality win that they have on their resume. We are now going to go back to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Woody is on the line. Woody, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Good morning. How are y'all doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad. It just sucks being a Gamecock fan right now, knowing we got number 4 Alabama coming into Williams-Brice Stadium. It was such a hype game last year. Such a close one we could have won, and just not in the same spot like we were last year. Don't know if it's time to see possibly Sellers get benched, so try to put it in Aaron Nolan. Right now, we got to look towards the future. I feel like the president's not doing it for us. Don't even know if we're going to win any more games. I hate to say it, but I don't even know if we can beat Coastal. We can't score points. Coastal scores points. Our defense is decent, but they're on the field all the time. They can't stop anybody. Alabama's got a high-powered offense. Just don't see this game going too well for us, and trying to find some hope for the future, but it's tough right now.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And I appreciate the call, Woody. And I think in terms of the backup quarterback situation, you'll see more of that against Coastal. Just because, I mean, I still think South Carolina should, if they are mentally invested and they're not broken down after these games, should be able to take care of business against Coastal Carolina. But, I'm not benching Lenore Sellers. That's still ultimately the best player. If you want to get completely avoid getting demoralized, I don't think I want to play Aaron Nolan or Cutter Woods and give them a first start of their career on the road at Ole Miss or on the road at Texas A&M. I don't want to break confidence before they're able to build any.
Yeah.
It's the only thing with Cutter Woods, at least, he got to play against a backup unit at Oklahoma and got to get some reps in without it completely demoralizing and breaking him. Even though he did throw the pick and he got drilled on one, he still got to make some plays. He got to see some go in. And I think that's a positive step if you want to kind of project towards the future.
And again, I think that was an interesting, which we haven't really touched on, but I do think that was an interesting aspect of what was otherwise a lost game, is that you saw Cutter Woods going in that situation instead of Aaron Nolan. What does that mean? Does it mean anything? Who knows? I don't know. But he took those reps and Aaron Nolan didn't. So let's put that on the back burner for now. But I want to say this. 2 calls in a row. Darren's a Georgia fan, and Woody was calling to talk about Coastal. I'm on Twitter. Neither one of those fan bases are very happy with their coach. Georgia fans hate Bobo all the time.
Yep.
Forever. Even though he scores and he wins, they dislike Bobo. And Tim Beck has been getting it from the Coastal fans. I say that to say that's all college football, man. We're all sort of miserable in this thing. So don't ever think it's just us.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like this season there's even more disgruntled emotions? Than
Yes.
It might be because I guess because everybody's losing, nobody's great. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know, but yeah,
It's a season of mediocrity, really.
Yeah, that might be it. And we have to learn. We have to all learn how to deal with what mediocrity is and what that means for everybody. But yeah, Bobo.
Speaking of mediocrity,
Bobo is a consistent gripe. We could ask. I would love to ask Tyler about what the Georgia's fan base's relationship with his Bobo, because they're over it.
It's at the point where Mike Bobo's name has a negative connotation, whereas before he was the offensive coordinator there, he was, I guess, generally loved because of what he did as a quarterback at Georgia, right? Mm-hmm. He could have lived in like the great graces of that fan base for the rest of his life if he never took an offensive coordinator job there. He could have gone anywhere else and stunk it up, and it wouldn't have mattered. But you stink it up with them, and also, like, Mike Bobo's not the most imaginative play caller. But he's getting a lot out of Gunnar Stockton this year. Gunnar Stockton is a good quarterback. He's playing really well right now.
He don't believe in balance.
He don't.
unless that means sneaking in a 32 trap to the fullback occasionally. He must do that
When feeling frisky. Sneaking in that 32 trap to the running back. He not a big balance guy, Mike Bobo. But, yeah, I mean, if you want to even further proof, Jen, that this is the year of the disgruntled fan base, when Mike Norvell inevitably gets fired and they have to pay a $54 million buyout, we will have 2 coaches that will have buyouts combined for over $104 million. I think that is a reflection at the emotional state of some of college football's largest fan bases.
Yeah, if they're to the point where they're willing to disperse those kinds of funds for somebody that isn't going to work for them anymore and really wasn't working well for them to begin with, that's a sign.
I'm telling you now, it's a hell of a year to be a pitchfork salesman. This is your most lucrative year yet. If you're a pitchfork salesman, you can look at your kids at night and say, kids, it's going to be a good Christmas.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really good Christmas. Coming up next, it's the early game morning meeting. And to discuss on this morning meeting, some news that changed the college baseball world. We'll get to that coming up next. That's a sick hat, dude. That thing is sick.
I got this in New York last year, or this past year. This year.
The 90s, like, really cold, and I don't expect it to get super cold, but it's getting a little chillier. So the conditions for golfing, not as ideal as they were just, say, a month or two ago. Well, that's where our friends at Pro Swing come into play, where you can golf indoors and take advantage of their really cool golf zone simulators. And as someone who has gotten to use them, it's an absolute blast, right? Nothing more fun than being able to go to golf or be able to go to Pro Swing, use those golf zone simulators, take advantage of the bar that they have there too, at least at their Forest Acres location. The Chapin location also really good as well. But you can rent those things by the hour. And of course, memberships are still available. And you can also get that free 30-minute swing evaluation to get you that blueprint of your swing and get a couple of pointers and drills to work on so you can enhance your golf game while also just taking advantage of a really fun afternoon playing golf at Pro Swing. 803-592-3916 is the number to call for more information. Always take them up and visit them online at proswingcolumbia.com.
Sumter Street at Senate in downtown Columbia. An accident they're working on currently. Clemson Road at Hardscrabble, and still working on things in Lexington County, Cedar Grove Road near Devil's Backbone. 76 for the high today. Lots of sunshine today, tomorrow, and Saturday. The overnight lows will be in the mid-40s. Tomorrow's high 73, and then game day 71. We're going to get into the 60s pretty much all of next week in the low to mid-60s, and have some chances for rain coming in as well. But sunshine for the next few days, we'll take it. Right now, 45.
Going to hear more from the offensive and defensive coordinator. Mike Shula and Clayton White spoke yesterday and talked about their team ahead of the big game against Alabama. We'll get into more of that, but for now, it's time to get into some groundbreaking college baseball coaching news in October. Well, we'll elaborate for the morning meeting.
Good morning. Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day.
Always is.
Let's go. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
Yes, it will, because in the morning meeting, we're also playing bingo. Look at your bingo cards. Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, Nick Harvey from Team WIS, who has joined us here in studio now. Take a look at your bingo cards. Look around, see what you got. I'm going to call out Pete Thamel breaking major league baseball news. Not major college football news, breaking MLB news.
Okay, cool. We're in the World Series. Something wacky could have happened. Okay, I'm still in the game.
Pete Thamel, of all people, breaks the news. Sources tell him, and of course Jeff Passan, who you'd expect to have this news. So you're like, wait a minute, why is ESPN's leading college sports reporter breaking news with Jeff Passan? Because Tennessee baseball coach Tony Vitello, who led them to a national championship 2 years ago, is finalizing a deal to become the next manager of the San Francisco Giants. Vitello, 47, will be the first ever to jump from college coach to MLB without any professional experience.
Bingo.
I like it. You
He's
had
got
it on
it.
your card?
He's got it.
Bingo.
Gift cards to Nick Harvey.
I don't know where it's to, but I'm happy I got it. No, I mean, it's
To Circuit City.
this is one of those things, right, where like it is crazy, sure, but I was talking with a Tennessee fan last night. He had to take this opportunity. Like the Giants is a prime coaching role in Major League Baseball. Whether he has the experience or not, he's offered the opportunity. You take it. You're getting a pay raise. Like that's.
Here's the wild thing: he might not take a pay raise, because Bob Melvin, the previous manager of the Giants, who had plenty of Major League Baseball coaching experience, was making $4 million. Tony Vitello was making way north of $3 million. If it's a pay raise, it might not be much.
Think the bonus structure is a little better?
Bonus structure is probably a little better, but I would say a mind-blowing hire, because again, this has never been done.
Well, and you don't have to do that kind of recruiting. Like the recruiting haul isn't what. So to me, that's not a bad deal. You're still managing a team, which is what you're used to doing. Yeah.
Just not recruiting. In the pros, someone does that for you.
You're doing the same thing in managing, but mind you, it's at one of the coolest ballparks in America.
That's a bucket list.
I've been there. I went there a couple years ago, and it is insane. I got to see a McCovey Cove splash hit, Jock Peterson with a game-tying home run. It was insane. You couldn't ask for a better. Metallica played the national anthem.
Okay, that's sick.
It was Metallica
that's
night.
pretty sick.
I don't think anything beats that necessarily.
No, hard to. Impossible to.
Unless you were watching that game, watching Tony Vitello manage them.
That's a fair point. Yeah. The question here is, how long does it take before he, as a manager, causes an all-out bench clearing confrontation.
It'll be the first week of May. Calling it now. It will only take to the first week of May.
Okay, put that on the bingo card.
Yeah,
okay?
that one. Yeah, on the bingo card. First week of May, bench clearing brawl, San Francisco Giants, Tony Vitello. But the wild thing about this to me is that, of course, it's never been done where a college coach takes an MLB job and has no previous experience in Major League Baseball. But it's not just that. It's the who, right? Because Tony Vitello, again, a firebrand, right? He is not afraid to yell at not just umpires, the opposing team in terms of players, their coaches. There's not a lot of chill in that man. And you got to do this for 162 games. The ultimate marathon in sports is a Major League Baseball regular season. I hope his, I guess, heart can take it.
Also, you got to do this.
Blood pressure can
also,
take
he has to do this to grown men. Also,
yes,
like some of that stuff is cool with 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds.
the rah stuff.
Dog, I am 28 years old with a mortgage. Chill out.
I am making 10 times what you are.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. And it could work. I think this is really interesting because baseball needs more characters. Baseball is a character-driven sport, especially over the course of a long, groggy summer. You need people that are interesting, and I hope he brings that to the game. I hope he brings some of that fire, and I hope he brings, because that's what you need. And baseball's tried to minimize the manager with all of the analytics and all of that type of stuff. So I'm for, because I come from a time period in baseball where the managers were cool. They were all part of the storyline. So I hope this is something that is a development in baseball.
Yeah, or at least the introduction of these type of characters. So, like, honestly, one of the best things for baseball is a guy like this succeeding.
Yes.
Count me in as a skeptic, but seeing it succeed and kind of the encouragement of those type of managers, ultimately good for the sport. But I think more likely this fails than it succeeds. Still a likelihood that it does, but it's an interesting case study to see exactly what does translate. Because in football all the time, we see college coaches get head coaching gigs in the NFL. That happens frequently. A lot of times it fails. A lot of times it succeeds. Pete Carroll succeeded, right? He succeeded. Jim Harbaugh, when he came in from Stanford, I would say that succeeded. Did pretty well for the 49ers. Won a lot of games. Urban Meyer did not succeed.
Did not.
Steve Spurrier did not succeed.
Did not.
We have seen plenty of examples of it working and not working. In basketball, we've seen plenty of examples of it working. Billy Donovan has been a successful NBA head coach. Has had some deep playoff runs. Fred Hoiberg was not successful with the Chicago Bulls. John Calipari was definitely not successful with the New Jersey Nets. And Rick Pitino's NBA stint, we know because we reference one of his famous quotes every day when we say someone's not walking through that door, because he said Larry Bird ain't walking through that door, which is still the ultimate all-timer. But we don't really have that with baseball. Is this something that can work with baseball? We've even seen it in hockey, right? Like the NHL has had some successful coaches that coached in college go and make the 82-game grind at the professional level. And we've seen some elements of it working to various degrees.
I mean, you look at a guy like, for instance, David Quinn, who took over the New York Rangers back in like the mid-2015s era for New York. He had stretches of hope and good, but it ultimately ended up, he's used to developing much younger guys. And sure, like you get an 18, 19-year-old on your team once a year, but that's one guy. That's one or two guys that are getting older through your program, not a bunch of 18, to 20-year-olds that are all under your mentorship or whatever. Like you've also got 32-year-olds who've been doing this for a while. And when you're trying to coach them like the young guys, they're going, hey, man, I've been doing this.
I got it.
Chill out.
You work on the X's and O's. I got this.
I got it.
Yeah.
And I guess the last point is that, is he going to be willing, because for as much as coaches complain about how much they're doing and all these things, is he going to be willing to give up all of that control?
Because college coaches have all the control
in the
world.
College coaches have all the control. They hold all the cards. Nobody can say anything wrong to them. They don't have to answer questions. And it's not like that in the big show. And so, is he going to be willing to give up some of that control and have people actually questioning his decision, and have people, he can't browbeat a reporter for, so this is fascinating. And I like take a big swing, man. Hey, who knows? Maybe it works. It can't be worse than what they were doing. They tried. What was his name? They tried
Bob Melvin.
They tried Bob Melvin, who's supposed to be a tried and true veteran.
Yep.
That didn't work.
He's a recycled hire. Yeah.
Hey,
I criticize MLB teams all the time with hiring retreads. And the one thing that you can say about this hire, it is certainly not a retread. We're mixing some things up today. We'll do the early game underdog challenge in the final hour. But coming up next, our man Josh Harris joins us for the Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge.
hey guys, not feeling like yourself? Maybe you feel like you lost your edge. Brain fog's got you struggling to focus. Maybe you're working out and not seeing the results that you used to. Well, there's a reason why you're feeling like that, and it might be low testosterone. So call Dr. Dan Boltnight, who's a respected local physician, and he will get to the bottom of it. But this isn't some faceless online program. Dr. Boltnight personally tailors your treatment based on your labs and your symptoms. And here's the best part. You call Dr. Dan Boltnight for an initial consultation, and it's absolutely free. You can get your T-level checked for free. The Men's Clinic, you'll find a non-threatening, comfortable environment that's open to hearing your concerns. I know many of you guys don't want to go to the doctor, but Dr. Dan Boltnight knows you, and he knows you know him personally. So don't wait. Call the Men's Clinic at 803-875-MENS. That's 803-875-MENS. Or visit them online at mensclinicsc.com.
Garnish Ferry Road near Atlas Road, an accident there. And we do have a report of some traffic lights malfunctioning. Bar Road at Highway 1, recommending that you detour onto Hendricks. So again, Bar Road at Highway 1, traffic lights malfunctioning. Detouring onto Hendricks might get you through there a little bit more quickly. 76 today, that's the high we're looking for. 73 tomorrow, 71 and sunny for game day. We welcome that. Going to be getting into the 60s starting on Sunday, and we'll see that for the remainder of next week, and some showers coming in next week. So we'll enjoy the next few days while we can. Currently 44 on the early game.
It's time to go racing. Playoff racing.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, it's ramping up. Our man, Josh Harris, joins us now for the Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge. And Josh.
Did Talladega disappoint?
You know, Talladega lived up to its billing, I think. Chaos, you know, kind of guys up near the front that you don't always see. And, you know, a couple late race cautions, overtime finish, guys running out of fuel.
Yeah,
really
my guy.
Yeah, I mean, both of our picks were running 1-2 there, going down the back straightaway of the last lap, and somehow finished 25th and 26th. So that, if there's one thing that says Talladega, that is it.
Yeah, 100%. When you have Larson, that was, they were, you know, everybody, they run the fuel. So it's a game of inches when it comes to fuel for sure. And yeah, Larson was just a smidge shy, and he had Byron right behind him. So once he slowed up and was out of fuel, it hosed both of them. So not a good day for Hendrick in that respect. But man, JGR, they're tearing it up. They're 1-2-3 right now. And you've got Chase winning the race, and it gets locked in. Denny Hamlin won last weekend, so he is secured. So Joe Gibbs Racing doing awfully well this playoff season so far. And as far as the points go, right now you've got 30 Christopher Bell, 37 above the cut line, Kyle Larson, 36 above, and pretty much anybody below them, would you not agree? You've got Byron, Logano, Blaney, and Chase Elliott. They're pretty much, they've got to win to get in.
Yeah, I think you're dead on, and you know, it's kudos to Joe Gibbs Racing. They've shown up in the playoffs ever since Darlington and Chase Briscoe winning. They won all three races in the first round. They have been the team to beat. They've stepped up, and they've got a chance to get all three, you know, of their cars with Christopher Bell, you know, going to Phoenix. So I think if you're Bell and Larson, you are hoping that either of the two of you win the race and the other one makes it in on points. You may hope that, you know, one of your other Gibbs teammates wins, whether it's Hamlin or Briscoe, since they have already locked in, or maybe a non-playoff driver. But if any of those four that are below the cut line wins, it's going to come down really close between Larson and Bell as to who makes the final. So that's going to be a compelling storyline to follow the whole race at Martinsville. Stage points are going to be important. Qualifying is going to be important, getting a good starting position.
Yeah, there will be a few storylines for sure to watch, and Bell and Larson certainly being one of the top ones. You know, watching Chase Briscoe at the beginning of the season, we were talking about bingo cards earlier. I don't think he would have been on my bingo card to necessarily be in the championship four, but what he and his crew chief, James Small, have done this season for their first season together. You know, Small was worked with Martin Truex Jr., and I know I had heard a conversation with him where Joe Gibbs actually had said, when he said, you know, how am I going to handle a new guy, and what do I do to adjust? And basically it was a case of it's your new quarterback, you know, so always putting things in football terms that Chase is a different guy, and treat him as the quarterback of the team. And go from there. And it looks like they've obviously found some kind of chemistry. They're a little different in personalities, and I think it's really working.
Yeah, it has. And really, if you think about it, the first 7 or 8 races of the year, they were really trying to get to know each other. The team wasn't running as well, and then they really picked up the pace. And he's led the series in poles. He's got 3 wins, and it's cool to see both of our Darlington Cup winners this year in the final round already.
That's a great point. Speaks volumes about Darlington, doesn't it?
It looks like a trend to me.
That's right.
That's incredible. So as we look ahead to Martinsville and little softer tire compound, what are you expecting to see from racing at Martinsville this weekend?
Yeah, we've seen I think the racing continue to improve at the short tracks throughout the year, thanks in part to Goodyear and continuing to work on the tire. A little more, softer left side tire that they haven't run, so everybody's kind of on an equal playing field. But hoping to see some tire fall off and create some interesting strategy. It's going to come down to execution, both the drivers and the pit crews. You need track position. You don't want to fall behind. It's easy to go a lap down. And like I said earlier, it all starts with qualifying. You gotta unload fast, coming from the headquarters in the Carolinas and getting up there to Martinsville, unload fast, set a good qualifying lap, get a good pit stall selection, and then let's settle it on the track for 500 laps on Sunday.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, we'll after this weekend, we'll know who is in the championship for. I can't believe we're to this point in the season. So as far as our Checkered Flag Challenge, Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge is concerned, Elijah right now bringing up the rear with 102. I'm not far ahead of him, 106. Josh at 113. Preston, 116. And, of course, Reggie, whatever, he's at 124. He's just
1 million.
He's annoying. So, I mean, love Reggie dearly, but his constant winning, I'm just kind of over it. So, anyway, Elijah, with that, you have the first pick.
All right. I tried the Ryan Blaney thing a couple times. And this morning when I woke up, I said, surely it won't happen 3 straight times, right? But because I said that, it would happen. So I'm going to take William Byron.
Oh, look at you. Okay.
Little zigzag. I like that.
That's right.
Wow. Okay.
Fading myself on this one.
Well, Blaney definitely has been strong at Martinsville, and I think he is on a mission. He has to win to get in, and I think I think he'll do that this weekend. So your Zag, I'm going to take, and I'll take Blaney. So Josh, who are you looking at?
Kind of like where we're going here with these drivers that need to win, and I was really high on Blaney if he had gotten to me. I'm going to go with Christopher Bell. He's not going to worry about points. He's just going to lock himself in and get all 3 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas into that championship round by getting the win at Martinsville.
Well, he knows how to win there, so definitely. All right, so Mr. Smarty Pants Preston over here.
Gonna keep the theme rolling. Nothing like for motivation like desperation. Give me for the 3rd time in a row. Give me Joey Logano.
I tell you what, Penske does well usually in the playoffs. It's kind of unusual to see them not doing quite as well and not to already have somebody in that championship for. So I think that's an excellent pick. Reggie, I did not give him a heads up soon enough, so he will get his pick from him. But Josh, we appreciate it. Anything exciting going on at any events going on at Darlington we need to know about?
Here in a couple of weeks, November 15th, we're going to have our final track laps for charity. That's Saturday, and we're also combining that with a garage sale. So we've gone through, kind of cleaned out some closets around the track and got some cool old signage, memorabilia, some old hospitality area chairs. So if you're looking for something to put in your man cave or just want to come check out some cool Darlington signage and racing stuff, we're going to do that from 9 to 2. Along with track laps on Saturday, November 15th.
All right, we'll be talking about that a little bit more. Somebody needs to go shopping. That sounds fun. Thanks so much. You can go to darlingtonraceway.com for more information.
That's right. We'll have some information up there here in the next couple of weeks, but Track Laps for Charity is on there. It'll be our normal time, 11 to 2, and we'll start the garage sale about 9 o'clock, all in the infield underneath the Cale Yarborough garage.
Awesome. Thank you much.
Good stuff. Appreciate it,
Thank
Josh,
you.
as always. Love having Josh on the program. That was the Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge. Had to move some things around, so the Underdog Challenge will be coming up at 8:30. We'll get into more of what Mike Shula and Clayton White had to say, but first, it's time to put some folks on the grill, and the grill returns coming up next. smell that? Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? And by The Rock, I mean the almighty football grill, because a lot is being cooked this week. And y'all, I think that smell you're smelling is something that's on this grill that's worth about $54 million to buy out, because Mike Norvell and Florida State are cooked.
Yeah.
Losing as a 17.5-point favorite to Stanford. Stanford?
The Aura Farmers?
The Stanford Aura Farmers? They got beat. And, of course, we went over how wild and wacky, because Florida State found themselves in 50 ways to lose a football game. And if you want to stay off the grill, you should probably stay off that list. But the fact that they're on the list only even furthers the process of the cooking that is being done to Mike Norvell and that Florida State program.
I'll stay with football. I will go to the NFL, though. And here's the thing, man. When you get an opportunity to take an NFL head coaching job, you have to take it. You've been working your whole career, and you get the job. The only problem is the job is with the Jets.
Jets, Jets.
Aaron Glenn, come on down. Woody Johnson, give me the whole entire Jets franchise. We're going to throw all y'all on the grill, because you have to make the quarterback decision between Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor. And you said you would not make that decision because you didn't want to provide a competitive advantage to the other team. Come on, Aaron Glenn, you're cooked.
Is there such thing as a competitive advantage against the Jets that's not completely inherent?
I know Jets fans who just don't care anymore.
That's tough.
Well, you can't kill what's already dead.
Yeah.
No, exactly. I'm going to stick with the NFL, and I'm going to start with a quote. Where to win games, you have to win the game, not lose the game, honestly. And that is how you lose the game.
Did Trent Dilfer say that?
That's one Mike McDaniel.
Oh, my God.
Can I get that quote one more time, please? Because I think that's very profound.
Where to win games, you have to win the game, not lose the game, honestly. And that is how you lose the game.
Wow. I'm a new man for having heard that.
Wow. That's how you keep a job with that kind of.
Yeah, that is what the execs want to hear when you go up to the podium after you get smoked again.
I'm sorry, while we're there, since we're there, and that might be like that's like the ribeye. So I'm gonna give you the filet over here, because Tua also said that sometimes I just can't see guys because I'm short.
Somebody take their microphones.
He's like, sometimes I just can't see Waddle out there. He might be open, but I'm short.
At this point, Dolphins fans are channeling their inner White Goodman to Peter LaFleur in the movie Dodgeball, saying, "Don't try to philosophize me, philosophizer.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood."
Nobody.
Imagine being the PR person who's in charge of sending people to the podium for the Dolphins, man.
Woo,
like,
buddy.
All right, Mike, hey, just, like 5 sentences will get you in and out. And he goes up there and starts talking about to win the game, you have to not lose the game. And they're just sitting there like, all right.
Whoever's got that job has never been on LinkedIn more than they are right now.
Yeah.
Ever. Ever. Yeah. In terms of cooking people, y'all, the Las Vegas Raiders did something special. They did something special against the Chiefs on Sunday in the worst way. I want to reel off some team stats to you. The Kansas City Chiefs gained 434 yards of total offense. The Las Vegas Raiders gained 95. Outgained by over 300. The Kansas City Chiefs had 30 first downs on Sunday. The Las Vegas Raiders had 3. You want to hear time of possession? Oops. The Kansas City Chiefs had the ball for 42 minutes. The Raiders had it for less than 18. The Chiefs were 9 of 15 on third down. The Raiders were 0 for 7. The ultimate Khmer Reclamation Project, Geno Smith, the guy who notoriously said people tried to write him off and he didn't write back. Well, it seems like he has bought a brand new pack of pens and is writing like he's J.K. Rowling, producing a series of books, because he was 10 for 16 with 67 yards
really
and a
hurts.
QBR of 7.7. And that QBR is on a scale of 1 to 100. So, the Las Vegas Raiders, Pete Carroll, the team that I thought was going to be the best team to not make the playoffs, you are so cooked.
Oh.
It's not even funny.
That really hurts because I am Pete Carroll guy through and through. That is my guy, and it's really tough to see this go down. But the Raiders franchise, hey, you're going towards Jets territory because Antonio Pierce was your coach, then Josh McDaniel was the coach before that. This is not going well. You still got the Gruden situation in the rearview mirror. Hasn't been a good run of coaches for the Raiders.
It seems like God has punished them for leaving Oakland.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Can you win a game in the first quarter? No! Can you win a game in the second quarter? No! Can you win a game in the third quarter? No!
Can you win a game? No!
No! Can you win a game in any quarter? We're the Raiders. No! Can you win a game in any quarter? We're the Jets.
Good job,
Hell
Jim.
no!
Thank you.
Oh, brutal.
My guy.
More coordinator talk. We'll hear from Mike Shula and Clayton White coming up next to kick off hour number 3.
Which one of you's the real Dirty Dan?
I am.
I know I have it. It's like, I mean, and it wasn't subtle. It was a straight up like.
Big slowdown on I-20 eastbound before Monticello Road. It is actually closed due to an accident. They are indicating passing on the right shoulder. Just be mindful of that. I-20 eastbound before Monticello Road. They're saying that it really isn't moving at this point. So try to map out an alternate route if you can. Bar Road at Highway 1, the traffic lights are malfunctioning. If you get a chance to detour onto Hendricks, that might get you through a little bit more quickly. 2 more accidents, Kelly Mill Road near Stallion Drive and Garner's Ferry Road near Atlas. And yeah, the forecast looks great for a couple more days. 76 today, 73 tomorrow, 71 and sunshine on Saturday for game day. Overnight lows in the 40s like it is now, 44.
Hour number 3 of the early game, the third and long hour, starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. He's Nick Harvey from Team WIS, who will be heavily involved here in the early game Underdog Challenge coming up at 8:30. My man Ed Bird also in the house as well. Randy Young, our engineer, who has set up this beautiful studio for us.
Full house.
We have a full house here. It is a party.
I like it.
We're pretty good right now.
Or as one Waka would say, it's a party, it's a party, it's a party.
3 times for emphasis and to fill out the chorus, right?
Yes. Yes.
I got mixed reviews on Waka at CLA. I didn't go. I didn't see it. The reviews were mixed.
I mean, like maybe past his prime a little bit. What jersey would Waka be wearing if he was if Waka was Shaq? What jersey is he wearing now?
Oh, man. If Waka was Shaq, I'm afraid to break the news here. We're reaching Boston Celtics territory.
Is he the big leprechaun?
Number 36, Boston Celtics territory we're reaching with Waka Flocka. I can officially say that as a society, we are in late stage Waka.
He's not Emmett with the Cardinals, though. Think so?
Jerry Rice with the Seahawks. I'm afraid we're there.
Let it be known, one of the funniest people that I've heard say the name Waka Flocka Flame so far throughout this week, Rick Henry.
Oh,
Rick
I actually would pay to hear that.
I'm sure I could find the clip and send it to you guys, because he literally, like, we were in a break. During the show, he says Waka Flocka Flame one time flew through talking about Garnet and Black Madness, and then he goes, and Waka Flocka Flame closed out the night with a concert. And I told him when we got to the break, I literally was like, Rick, I could listen to you for 22 minutes just saying different iterations of how to pronounce Waka Flocka Flame. It was so entertaining.
He didn't just cut it short at Waka or Waka Flocka. He went full government.
Full name.
He called him Mr. Flame during the break.
Mr. Flame.
Mr. Flame we got out of him on Palmetto Sports Daily. It was pretty entertaining.
I'm going to cry. Oh, that is hilarious. Unfortunately, we've been taking our first look at Alabama, something not so hilarious, a danger and a threat that is very real that will be coming to Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday. We had a lot of observations. Preston, we need to watch the tape Tuesday. Well, usually our Watch the Tape Wednesday involves watching the opponent, right? Getting our sample size, learning some things. Oh, buddy. Alabama, as good as advertised. It certainly passes the eye test. It passes the numbers test. It passes about whatever type of test you want to apply to an opponent. Alabama passes in flying colors.
I'd say maybe even better than you think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, better than I thought.
Because still wiggling around in your head is probably the Florida State loss, which was, I'm old enough to remember. Again, that was way back at the beginning of the season. Still probably rattling around in your head, and if you haven't watched them, you may not be familiar or caught up with how good they actually are. They are extremely talented, obviously, but they execute at a high level, and they have a scheme and a design of offense that has been problematic and will be difficult for us to stop.
And one thing that I tried to notice is when I watch a Gamecock opponent during the week, I try to note what other teams do well against them and see if maybe that's something that works, that's something that South Carolina can do. Found that difficult for Tennessee's because Tennessee's offensive scheme is completely different than South Carolina's. You watch those two offenses just in terms of what they do before the snap and what their offense is designed to do. It almost feels like they play different sports, right? It's because Tennessee's got all those wide receivers that are hugging the boundary. They space the field out to where it forces Alabama to have to play a lot of light boxes. So I was like, that's probably not going to be something you're going to try to utilize in a game like this. But against like Missouri and against Georgia, they were able to run the ball on the outside, use some perimeter zone runs to success. However, the quick action passing game for Tennessee worked pretty well. They knew they weren't going to be able to protect them long. Tennessee does not have a really good offensive line. It's a good offensive line. It's not great, and it's a mismatch up front against Alabama, and they were very self-aware of that, and there was a lot of quick action passing stuff. So I thought maybe that is something you can utilize to try to get something going early on. We've talked about it a lot this year. When you have a struggling offensive line, sometimes if the protection won't allow the play to develop, you got to get something to the outside very quick and see if those perimeter playmakers can make plays on the perimeter. So when Mike Shula spoke yesterday, he was asked about the quick throw game for South Carolina. This will be cut 10, Jen. And this was his response to the quick throw game.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Yeah, there's things that in an ideal world, and like if you were an offensive lineman, that'd be a great question from an offensive lineman. Yeah, you want to get the ball out fast as much as you can. Defenses know that too, so there's certain things that they play that doesn't really allow you to kind of get the ball out fast on every play, where you're gaining yards down the field. So you try to tie those in with different looks, whether or not it's from the running game, whether or not it's a similar look where you've thrown the ball down the field and now it comes out fast. But yeah, those decisions as our quarterback is make decisions that keep us out of long yardage and obviously keep the ball moving forward. So, and we've talked about this before with a guy like Lenoris. You want him to get the ball out fast. Don't take sacks. Get the ball out fast. Don't take sacks. And then all of a sudden he makes the guy miss in the pocket, maybe because of whatever reason, a guy that there's maybe it's a little bit off schedule and the guy gets pressure a little bit earlier than we thought, and then he makes the guy miss and runs for 20 yards. So you have to kind of live with that a little bit, but we just got to do a better job overall. And yes, mix those quick games in and continue to do that with the other stuff and just have good balance and then make good decisions that keep us out of the long yardage.
Now, Nick Harvey from Team WIS, I see you pondering over there, listening to that. As an offensive line enthusiast, your response, I guess, to what Mike Shula had to say about the quick action passing game that I would think has to be a little more utilized on Saturday.
I don't disagree with that. There was a lot of words that he just said. Like, if I'm going to take anything away from that, that was a minute 30 of there was like 3 different things he touched on throughout that one long sentence. I think, yes, like obviously, I think it's what he said at the end, talking about Lenoris making a decision, and then maybe you're off schedule is what he called it. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I would call it off scheduled, but more so if there's a breakdown. If somebody misses a block, there's a miscommunication, you've got a linebacker running free, you got a D tackle who's untouched, and he's not supposed to be a read guy or anything like that. Something has gone wrong and it's evident, and he shakes off that guy, and sure, he could run for 25 yards if something's open, but at the same time, and I think it's important to note, like, you can't run a quick pass game if your guys aren't off the line quick enough to get open. Like, because the protection will be there for 2-3 seconds, but can Lenoris make the right decision in that 2 to 3 seconds, and will his receiver be open in those 2 to 3 seconds to succeed running a bunch of plays like that? I think you're more likely to find maybe some success with that outside run game, like I think it was talked about earlier this morning, but at the same time, we've seen a ton this season where Faison or somebody in the backfield is a little hesitant when they're running on an inside play and they're waiting for the hole to open and it's not there. Like, sometimes you just got to hit the hole. Sometimes you got to get north-south and not east-west. So on those outside zone plays, if they're going to run them, great. Don't run yourself all the way into the sideline, into the boundary. Get the ball, find an opening when you get outside, and turn it downhill. Like, that's where I think a lot of teams, especially now, running backs feel like they got the speed to beat somebody off the edge, and they're going to just keep running until they run out of room. Get upfield. Find somebody to run into and take your 3 to 4 yards and get back in the huddle. Like, it's not – I don't know. I can talk about it all day.
You're onto it. It's real simple. The goal line is north and south.
Yes.
Not east and west. You will never get there going this way. You have to go that way eventually. So why not go that way as fast as possible? That's the biggest thing. Nick, as you was talking, we thinking about quick game, and I keep having to keep checking because I'm going through my mental Rolodex. We don't utilize any of the cut blocking as an offensive line, right?
That doesn't look like
I haven't seen us utilizing
No.
that, and that's something, this is maybe football Professor P right here really quickly, but this is something that the offensive line, when and if maybe you're overmatched or you want to throw a little bit of a changeup, you can throw a cut block in to frustrate or annoy the D-line, get their hands down so you can make space for the quick game. I haven't seen any of that as part of our package. It seems like that's something that we might want to incorporate a little bit just to get the quick game going.
I don't disagree. I mean, yeah, it's changed so much over the years where I don't even feel like, at least in college and maybe even the pros, you don't see a ton of cut blocking in general anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not forbidden.
It's not
something
forbidden,
you
right?
can't do.
I think you probably don't see as much of it now because they're still trying to keep the RPO game available. So obviously it's not available once you do that.
Yeah.
But with us struggling so much as an offensive line, that just feels like another tool that you may be able to throw out there. Because again, just speaking from a defensive line perspective, even if you don't get me, it's going to frustrate the hell out of me. And that's going to slow me down. Just give me something to think about.
And if it's not something that's already kind of like pre-incorporated into the offense already, how easy would it be or difficult would it be to be able to, when you haven't done it through 7 games, to be like, all right, we're going to throw in a wrinkle, guys. This is what we're going to have to do to be able to just get them on the ground. Even if it works to various success, it's different. It's shaking it up. It's giving them something they haven't seen before. Can we execute it?
Yes. In my opinion, yes, because anybody who's played any level of football at some point or another has been taught how to cut block somebody. It might have been a while. You might miss a guy once or twice. The last thing that you're going to want to see is if they call a play and there's a cut block drawn up for the backside tackle, let's say, just to put it into an example. That guy goes for a cut and all he does is fall belly to the ground. Then you're going, we might need to teach these guys how to cut.
Right.
Like that's a bad instance of a cut. But like even there are some iterations of a cut block where your helmet's the first thing going towards somebody's knee, and then you're almost bear crawling into that guy. Like you're taking your weight and just throwing it into his lower half because you're going to slow him down. At the very least, you're going to slow him down. And it becomes effective because you're taking at least one person out of the play. Say a linebacker comes in right behind him, he's now stuck too, unless he's a freak athlete and jumps over both of you. Like
Right.
there are instances where it won't work, and that's just simply there's nothing you can do about it. But like most of the time, as long as you are doing it right, a cut block is pretty effective.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I just haven't seen
Yeah.
it, especially in relation to the quick game, as we're talking about not being able to get into it. That is a tool that is available.
Now, on the other side of the ball, Alabama's got some dudes. We broke down some of the numbers in Old Man versus Analytics earlier. 3 wide receivers who have caught at least 20 passes. Ryan Williams is in the slot about 37% of the time. He's out wide, or 63% of the time. He's out wide about 37. Those numbers are basically inverse for Jeremy Bernard. Isaiah Horton, who also has 20-plus catches, he's on the outside about 88% of the time. They've got 2 running backs that have at least 10 catches so far this year. This offense is rated E for everyone. How does South Carolina stop that? Well, Clayton White discussed that yesterday at the coordinator press conference, and we'll hear his answer to that question coming up next here in the early game.
Hey everybody, this is Preston here for Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been family owned and serving the Midlands since 1983. That's over 40 years. And third generation owner Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom and pop values that you love. And Ben is determined to raise the standard of sales, service, and retail. At Cato's, we're proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, the friendly team is there to make the process easy. help you choose the right equipment, find financing options, and keep your gear running strong with expert service and parts. Whether you're a weekend
Bar Road at Highway 1, traffic lights currently malfunctioning. So you can always take a detour onto Hendricks to try to make your way around there. Also, I-20 eastbound before Monticello Road, getting reports that all lanes are closed right now. So map out an alternate route. Gartner's Ferry Road near Atlas and Kelly Mill near Stallion Drive. And we've mentioned the forecast. It's really nice. Sunny through Saturday. We'll enjoy that. Game day, we're looking for a high of 71. But today, looking for a high of 76. A little bit breezy out there. Come Sunday, some 60-degree temperatures that we'll see for about a week. But currently 44 on the early game.
803-404-6100. That's the number for the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. It's our man Ray. So waiting patiently. I appreciate Ray's patience and his willingness to call in. Ray, it's good to hear from you, brother. How you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing good. Doing great. I will tomorrow. I'll call in a little more about the Gamecocks. But I'll tell you, Vitello's going to do okay because he's a winner.
He's done
just
a lot
like
of that.
You know.
Yeah.
We were talking the earlier racing. Joe Gibbs, man's an extreme winner. From the NFL to NASCAR. When I first heard he was going to NASCAR, I said, Joe, don't do it. But boy, did he ever prove me wrong. But anyway, I changed the format a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about NASCAR. Well, we all have our favorite drivers. And mine has always been number 23. You know, the winner of the Brickyard 400. And Jen, you can verify this. If Bubba could control his temperament, I think he'd be a top 10 driver.
He definitely has the talent. I'm a little concerned about what's going on with 2311 right now, but you know, hopefully they can kind of that all get settled and they can kind of get back to what they're doing. But yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of maturing in some of his responses, but yeah, he still has a little bit to go as far as that temperament. But I agree. I think he has the talents. He can wheel that sucker.
And I was reading an article about him, and he was talking about how he's always been a carefree person.
Oh.
And he's that guy, if you throw sand in his face, he's going to jump on your face, and he's ready to fight, you know. But he said that after he started having children, he started thinking, man, this is what I do for a living. Now that I have children, I got to calm down a little bit and put a little more into this. So I'm looking for him to finish good, and hopefully next year he has a good year.
Yeah, that'd be great. I saw he's also taken up photography as a hobby. That was kind of fun to see.
Yep. But one last thing I'll say, I always thought baseball players had the pretty wives, but I think it's race car drivers. But thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate the call as always, Ray. And yeah, interesting stuff going on there. Those playoffs ramping up. We have all these sports that are either mid-season for football or early season for hockey and NBA and college basketball starting up. But if you're looking for a good postseason, you got the World Series starting up this weekend and NASCAR playoffs have not just ramped up, they are here, and it is crunch time there. But for South Carolina, it's crunch time because you're 3-4. Got a top 5 team coming into town, arguably the hottest team in the sport. Mentioned it earlier in terms of what Alabama has for their weapons, right? Especially in the passing game out wide. 3 guys have caught at least 20 balls this year. Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton. Ryan Williams is out wide 37% of the time, in the slot 61% of the time. Bernard is out wide 61% of the time, in the slot 36%, basically inverse. Isaiah Horton has 20-plus catches as well, outside 88% of the time. They spread those dudes around. They're very versatile. And they make sure that they will kill zone coverage and they will kill soft coverage. They did that a lot against Tennessee. They did that a lot against Missouri. It's one thing this offense does really well is have a variety of different ways to kill you, and a quarterback who will throw guys open in a scheme that gets guys open. So what's the challenge of facing all of these weapons in this type of offense? That's what I asked Gamecock defensive coordinator Clayton White yesterday. Here was his response. Cut 13.
Yeah, they have a really good system to where, I mean, I think their backup running back has 16 receptions himself. So it's like they do a great job of spreading the field and make sure they hit their open spots and the soft spots and zones, and they find the matchups they want. So we got to do a great job of doing our job, winning your one-on-one battles when your number's called, and just be ready to be a playmaker when the time commits, but when the time gets here. But as a play caller myself, we have to do a great job also of understanding they have options all over the field, make sure everybody's covered and make sure you're not focusing on one guy too much. You can't go double number 5 because they have other guys that's gonna be one-on-one. So you got to play it very, very smart and very intelligent.
You can't double anybody in this offense, and you got to account for where everybody is on the field all the time. And as I laid out with those numbers, where they're going to be on the field pre-snap will vary from play to play.
That being said, and I'm obviously not a defensive coordinator. I'm not Clayton White. Clayton White has been very successful. I would position that you're going to have to stop something.
Yeah.
You're going to have to choose to stop something, because if you don't choose to stop something, then everything's going to be available to him. But I don't know what it is. That's where I don't know. That's why he gets paid that and I get paid this, and I'm here just talking. But he's going to have to stop something, instead of saying we're trying to cover everything, because nobody has covered everything yet.
Yeah, not on this team. They haven't.
That's true, but I don't discredit what the defense has done to this point this season. Like, you're talking about a defense that's given up, more than 30 points once, I think, this year so far, something like that is the number. I don't know. I have a lot of respect for the defense upholding their end of the bargain, especially with how much they're on the field, right? Like, with the offense's struggles, sure, you can talk about that all day, but, I think the defense maybe needs a little more flowers when you lose as many guys as you did last year. That's what the biggest question mark coming into this season was, and they've played, I would say, pretty good football. You know what I mean? There is something to say about Clayton White and the job he's done this year and so many new faces.
Yeah, and the only sin that this defense has really committed were the 2 games where they just didn't tackle well at all. And
they got that corrected.
And Missouri and Vanderbilt ran all over them, but again, it got corrected. But maybe the biggest sin is they just weren't last year's defense. That was a high bar to obtain, because we know the dudes that defense sent to the NFL. We knew it was going to be harder. We knew it wasn't going to be the same process that you had last year. You were starting a little further behind schedule than you were this time last year. But despite all that, still played really well, and this is their biggest challenge yet, of trying to figure out who they need to stop on any given play. And I thought, Preston, a point you made earlier in the show was pretty poignant when it came to how you use Brandon Cisse. Identifying your best coverage corner, which this year has been Brandon Cisse. It's been the best. He's been the healthiest. I still like what Jalen Kilgore does. I still like what Judge Collier does, but they just have not been themselves this year because of injury. But if you can rely on Brandon Cisse to at least give him an assignment, right? And if that means following Ryan Williams around, Ryan Williams does take more of his snaps in the slot, and that is usually where Brandon Cisse specializes, is playing that nickel position. If you can just go into this game and trust him to say, hey, man, it's cat coverage today. That's your cat. That's Ryan Williams. You find where number 2 is on the field at all times, and you make sure we don't have to worry about him as much as we normally would have.
Yeah, maybe if you can win that and just move that off the table. Okay, cool. Take a breath. Now it's going to be still difficult to stop everybody else, but at least we know we have that particular player contained, at least. Obviously, you're not going to stop him because he's great, but contained to a degree.
And not get frustrated, too, because Ryan Williams will make plays. I know last year at the end of the year he had, he got a case of the reason I think Alabama wins by 3 touchdowns is because I don't think Tennessee's secondary can hang with their receivers. They hung with them a pretty decent bit, and on the plays in which, guys like Colton Hood were glued to Ryan Williams, it didn't matter because Ty Simpson put it in the spot where only Ryan Williams could catch it, and Ryan Williams would make a play. Again, going back to the whole thing of my observation of this is the most hands up, don't know what else I can do here type team you're going to play all season long.
I'm going to make this very simple. I'm not going to get into anything like this. I've been a South Carolina fan for a long time. I went to college there. Everything. I've got a lot of allegiance to this team. This is one of those feelings where, people who haven't been following this team I've got a friend who's from a different country, came here for college, and he is now a big Gamecock fan, and he hasn't quite fully gotten it, right? I told him last night, we were at a dinner, and I said, what you don't understand is, I am very honest with myself and thinking, it's probably not going to happen, but there is the hope that this is the one. This is the one that you get this year. You've got a top 5 team coming into Columbia. You saw it happen 2 years ago with Tennessee. There is a possibility that Saturday they come out and shock the world and beat Alabama. Florida State did it. Why can't we?
They've been known to do this.
Midway through the season. It's not week 1. You're not figuring everything out. There's no reason this team can't pull it off. I'm not going to go out here and say that there's no chance. That's all I have left about that right now.
Well, here's the thing, and Jen's right. That's before the Tennessee game. I'm sure you guys, I wasn't here yet, so I'm sure you guys are having very similar conversations with what Tennessee's offense is, right? And you would have still been correct. Here's the thing. You would have still been correct. But on that night, You played well above your means, and you did whatever it took, and everything went right, and you fired on all cylinders, and it clicked, and you figured it out, and it made for one of the more special nights in the history of the program. That's what it's going to take, right, to beat this Alabama team. And that's really the whole point of kind of breaking down what that offense has been like so far this year. Is anyone going to take South Carolina in the Underdog Challenge? It's 12.5 points. We'll see if any of us do or if any of you do, because the early game Underdog Challenge is next.
The rest here we get really quick.
I-20 eastbound before Monticello Road, the right lane is blocked, so things have opened up a little bit more in that area. You are going to need to stay left. I-20 eastbound before Monticello Road. Things are moving, still pretty slow. Decker Boulevard near Two Notch Road, an accident. Also, still working Kelly Mill Road near Stallion Drive and Two Notch Road near Fontaine. And 76 today, 73 tomorrow. Game day looking fabulous, sunny and 71. Then we get into the 60s next week. We'll probably be in the low to mid 60s with some rain showers coming in. But we're staying dry for the weekend. Right now, it is 45.
Before we get to the Underdog Challenge, there is some breaking news in the world of sports. We don't get to do that on this program frequently, but for those who have kept up, there has been an NBA scandal, a betting scandal, and this morning Terry Rozier, NBA player for the Miami Heat, was arrested for his involvement, but now we have a sitting NBA head coach just arrested by the FBI. This is Shams Charania's tweet from ESPN. Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups has been arrested by the FBI for alleged illegal gambling, sources tell ESPN. So no further details other than that, but they will come out. And when they do, we will certainly share them with you. So certainly some massive breaking news just from a sporting perspective coming down here within the last few minutes. But it's time to make some underdog picks. And before we do, we got to give a shout out to Lawrence and Irmo, our winner last week, who took Louisville at plus 13.5 to beat Miami. Lawrence pulled the trigger, and it's paying off big time. We'll be in contact with Lawrence for his prize. Plus 13.5. That's all he needed. He picked the Jags plus 2.5. Didn't work out, but didn't need it to because that's all you needed.
I mean, much respect to Lawrence, but come on, man. Don't bury the lead. What about your boy?
Now we're getting to the good stuff. Because
much respect to Lawrence.
If we
what about your boy?
Want to talk about history being made, so I've been doing this contest in Nashville on radio. I do it with my friends in a group chat. There's 9 of us in a group chat, and I do this all on spreadsheets. So I keep records of every year, and I always highlight the biggest upset called. In that contest and what we did in Nashville, no one has ever picked an upset as big as Preston Thorne's 22-pointer with UAB beating Memphis. He said it last week. He said, I'm going big game hunting. I'm fading, or I'm taking the Trent Dilfer sucks, and now he's gone, and we can play a little more freely strategy. And it paid off to the tune of 22 points.
I'm going to be honest, man. I felt very confident about that, man. Just from what I know about Trent Dilfer, I just felt like his players would just take a breath of finally fresh air. So I felt good about that. I don't feel as great about any of my picks this week, but I felt good about that one last week.
So to recap, I got Minnesota plus 8.5 against Nebraska and the Bengals plus 4.5 against the Steelers. Team WIS had maybe their first 0-2 of the season with Mississippi State and the Saints. Jen picked up 10.5 points with Coastal Carolina winning at App State. Coming back in that game too, App State led for when I was keeping up with it for the most part. Had an offensive explosion in the second half, and then of course Preston with 22 points with UAB beating Memphis, and almost had plus 7.5 with the Giants against the Broncos. This was very close to being the most lucrative early game underdog challenge week of all time. So that leads us to our standings right now as they stand. Preston Thorne has now taken the lead and has taken it big. He's got 63 points so far this year. Team WIS in second at 50.5. I'm sitting at 48.5. And then just 2 points behind me is Jen at 46.5. So we have a cluster between 2 and 4. And then Preston is on another tier with a 12.5 point lead.
He's sneaky, that Preston.
Always is sneaky. Just when you think you got him.
In the game.
He is not just in the game. He is in control of the game right now. So that takes us to week 9. The order will go like this. Team WIS will go first, followed by Jen, then Preston, then myself. I will then have the first NFL pick, followed by Preston, Jen, and Team WIS. So, with that being said, Nick Harvey, as the Team WIS representative, your pick this week will be.
I could do something crazy here and try to go for a bigger splash than Preston did last week. My heart tells me yes. My mind tells me no. I can't. I just can't do it. I do. Man, this is a tough week. It's a tough week.
It's a tough week. There were not a lot that I looked at and I said, "Oh, buddy, no, not this week."
But you know what? A wise man once told me that home dogs bark the loudest. And there's a home dog who really needs to bark this weekend and has a good chance to do it and do things that they've done the past 2 years and bring one in that they shouldn't have. Give me the Gamecocks.
He did it.
Plus 12
They did it.
This is Alabama. Come
They
on.
did it.
Come
They're
on.
taking the swing. South Carolina 12.5-point underdogs at home. We're hoping those home dogs, or in this case, the home chicken, barks the loudest. Get some bark out of that home chicken. I love it. 12.5 points. Now we can move on to Jen Jensen.
All right, I'm going to take a little bit of Midwestern. Well, I guess it doesn't matter with these two teams, but I'm going to go purple, Northwestern, 8.5 over Nebraska.
I had that on my list.
Did you?
I had it on the list. And I've now adopted the strategy of fading Northwestern, or not Northwestern, fading Nebraska, always a good strategy. If Nebraska's a favorite, sometimes picking against them is the right call. So I'll have to mark that one off. That now takes us to our leader, Preston Thorne.
All right. This team, we were pretty much joined with them all preseason, but we've had a disappointing season, and I think they've had a disappointing season also. Give me Bert Bielema in them Illinois.
The
Fighting Illini.
Fighting Illini.
There you go.
The Fighting Juice Williams, as if you want to dig back into the Wayback Machine. But Illinois plus 3.5 at Washington this weekend, another one I had on my list. So that leaves me, I have two options here that I'm really feeling, but I'll go for the bigger swing. I rode the boat last week with Minnesota against Nebraska. Another team, when they are a favorite, I like to pick against because they don't score ever. And that's the Iowa Hawkeyes. So you know what? I'm going to bank on PJ Fleck beating Iowa at their own game and making this thing ugly and going on the road and giving me 8.5 more points. So Minnesota at 8.5 at Iowa. And PJ Fleck, I trust. And now in the NFL, I'm going to have to roll. I had a big swing, but I already got an 8.5 pointer on the board. So I'm going to go and fade the team that straight up got away with it last week on the road. The Cardinals, or the Packers, went to the Cardinals and won that game on accident. You will not beat an underdog Mike Tomlin on the road on accident. Some people have a hard time beating underdog Mike Tomlin on purpose. So give me the Steelers plus 3.5 against the Packers.
Yep, had that one.
This is me.
Now back to Preston.
We said they're not good, but maybe they're fun.
Frisky.
Maybe they're on the way. First time over 500 in 4 years.
Oh, that was the one I thought about.
Give me the Panthers over the Bills.
Dang
See,
it.
I have that on my list.
Me too.
My dependency for that is on Bryce Young's health.
Sorry, Jack, if you're listening.
That's where I stand
Sorry,
with that.
Jack.
That's true.
I think it's all that ankle is scary.
But the Red Rocket
Has never been more back. Has never been more back. And that takes us to Jen Jensen for her NFL pick.
I'm doing a homer thing. I'm taking the Bears 6.5 over the Ravens.
Bears.
Bears.
Bears. So I assume because the Bears would be underdogs that Lamar Jackson is playing. I guess that would lead me to believe that.
That would lead me to believe that as well.
Now, is that game in Baltimore or is that in Chicago?
It's in Baltimore.
It is in Baltimore. Yep. So I haven't seen the injury report yet. Don't need to know that if the Ravens are favored, Lamar Jackson probably going to play. So Jen takes her beloved Bears at 6.5. Now that takes us up to Team WIS to round us out.
I think Jackson Dart looked like one of the more sad football players in the country last week, losing the way that they did on to Denver. I think that they got a good chance to pull off another wild win over a very, very, I would say, not scared but nervous Eagles team with the way that their season has suddenly taken a full 180. I like the Giants plus 7.5 in Philly.
Taking the Giants plus 7.5 to do it again. That strategy of picking the Giants over the Eagles has worked for one Preston Thorne before. Can it work for Team WIS this week? Those are our picks. Make yours 803-404-6100 on the Firehouse Subs text line. We hope you pick some winners. We'll give our winners for today's show next.
I got a really good one.
have winners every day to round out the show. We have winners. And you know what? My first winner for today's show, y'all, aliens. I'm going to channel my inner George Tsoukalos from Ancient Aliens. Aliens. Why I say that? Because Victor Wembanyama is not of this world, my friends. I'm telling you, we did our NBA primer yesterday, and unfortunately, I didn't get to go further in with other teams. But if you are just casually getting into the NBA, or if you're just like, you know what, nothing's on tonight, it's a Friday night, I want to watch some basketball, you should watch Victor Wembanyama. Almost 7'5", Victor Wembanyama, who shoots a ton of threes and plays on the outside. 40 points, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks last night. All 3 blocks of them were laughably the best plays of the game. Oh, and when he dunks, it looks like me dunking on my little Tykes goal over my brother when we were kids. That's exactly what watching that guy looks like, right? He plays on a little Tykes hoop every single game, and it's the funniest thing in sports right now. So my winner, he did it last night. They blew out the Dallas Mavericks on the road. My winner, aliens.
I'm going to give a winner to the Miami Dolphins communications staff. Rick Hurtado, Senior Manager of Football Communications, and Renzo Shepard. Come on down. Nick, would you like to display their workflow that they've been working with? What did Mike McDaniel say?
We're to win games, you have to win the game, not lose the game, honestly, and that is how you lose the game.
Great work. Followed by the quarterback who said, for me, I can't see because I'm not the biggest guy. So if I can't see you, you can't see me. I can't get you the ball.
These guys deserve awards. Their PR team genuinely deserves to win something.
Shout out to you all. I know it's been a long, long week. You still are winners in our hearts.
I know it's a winners segment, but if we had to put in losers, Tua Tagovailoa and Short Kings having chance at playing quarterback in the NFL. He has ruined it for everybody. Congrats, Tua.
No, see, that's why you flip it. Winners, Short Kings. Because listen, in the real world, I am not a Short King. But in my football world, I was a Short King. So I understand the power and presence that you must have, that you must show up in the world with. Short Kings, you still winners in our hearts, even though Tua says he can't see you.
Yeah,
he's been the opposite of a trailblazer for you.
Two quick ones. First, Rick Henry pronouncing the name Waka Flocka Flame. That's a big winner for me because it's never going to get old. 2, Palmetto Sports Daily has our first guest picker tomorrow for Lock of the Week. And it is one Gamecock legend in Alshon Jeffrey.
Oh, nice.
Joining the program, 22-minute show. He'll be there for the entire thing. Super excited for Alshon to join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's, like I said, you get a guy like that on there. We've got a Pats fan who works for our station down in Charleston who has some grievances to talk about with him and that Eagles Super Bowl loss.
Sure.
It should be an entertaining episode.
Yeah. Alshon legend on several different areas, whether it's basketball, football, the legendary interview he gave during that Super Bowl where he didn't want to be outside. Obviously one of the greatest Super Bowl interviews, so legend all around.
Oh, that catch in that game still. I mean, that's one of those
years.
It's one of those how do you make that catch?
That Alabama game where he played such an instrumental role. It's been 15 years. Wow. Rick will be interviewing him, and then he's coming to join our show to talk even more about it. Should be a good time.
So if you believe in magic and good vibes, does that give you magic and good vibes?
We hope. We hope as much as possible. More vibes as possible. Hey, Jack Veltri coming in, the one and only Jack. I picked the Panthers this week. Just I apologize, though. My bad.
That's an eye roll. That's an eye roll.
There's a huge sigh, too.
Also, winner, Marshall Thundering Herd, Jack Veltri rocking the Marshall shirt today.
Sure.
Just a fun program. Even when they're not supposed to be good, fun program. I'm always invested in Marshall football. Shout out Chad Pennington, always a winner on this show.
Weekly winner, Pudge the Cat.
Pudge the Cat.
Always.
Pudge the Cat.
Oh, I love Pudge.
That guy.
Bowling Green season started to take a turn for the worse, so they lost a pretty bad one. They're only 7.5-point favorites against Kent State, who is probably one of the 5 worst teams in FBS. Only 7.5. They got to win that one to keep things going around. I want to see Pudge the Cat in a bowl game.
Me too.
Even better, if Pudge the Cat and Bowling Green play in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, I got to go.
I think we should all go.
Yeah.
I think the show should go on the road.
They need to do, if they play that game, they need to have, you know how celebrities have VIP place where you can take pictures with them. They definitely need to have that set up for Pudge.
Oh my God, for
Right?
sure. Take my money. Take all of it. Take my money. I can't even remember if like the MAC has the tie-in with that bowl. I don't care.
We have to get Pudge.
You have to get Pudge. You have to get Pudge. Whatever bowl game does not have a MAC tie-in, one of those like early December bowls, break the tie-ins. You get Pudge.
Bring a good team, Eddie George, a good fan base. Oh, and Pudge.
Also, those uniform combinations, winners. Never had a bad uni. But who else is a winner? Tyler Head and Jack Veltri in the extra point, and they're coming up next.